All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Lena Castanos, and I will be moderating today's webinar. I will begin by introducing the Capital Pathways program. Then I will introduce myself and give the word to our guest speaker, Jamie Diane, QuickBooks Pro Advisor, who will introduce herself and take us through a presentation on QuickBooks. Feel free to ask any questions through the chat function throughout the presentation. We will be responding to them as we go. The questions that we cannot respond to in this webinar, we are happy to address through our no-cost one-on-one services or connect you to resources that can help. We will share a recording and slides of this webinar afterwards. So, what is Capital Pathways? It is a program funded by the U.S. Treasury SSBCI initiative, sponsored by the Virginia Department of Small Business and Supplier Diversity, and hosted by the Virginia SBDC and George Mason University. We can start with a program overview, then we will go through the program eligibility and finalize with its services. Capital Pathways is a no-cost specialized SBDC program that helps small businesses build the systems and habits needed to become capital ready. Why does it matter? Being capital ready matters because those less prepared self-select out of fail applications. Early failures correlate to lack of adequate capital. Higher cost alternatives don't build long-term capacity. Only half of the requested amounts reach small businesses. And to put things in perspective, about 25% of small businesses need access to financing for growth and preserving cash flow. However, just 20 to 30% of those who apply for loans actually get their loans approved. Capital Pathways creates a path to financial and legal readiness. Our program offers an immersive, hands-on group experience paired with one-on-one support. Who is eligible? Very small businesses at any stage facing challenges accessing traditional financing, as well as nonprofits. The services that we provide include guided self-assessment, legal structure validation, financial skills and tools, and loan application readiness. We start with a self-assessment that pinpoints your business's key gaps so we can connect you with the right tailored resources either through our Capital Pathways program or other resources that can help. Under our legal structure validation, our in-house advisors can help you through more basic legal questions. And we partner with a law firm which can help you for more complex topics related to business registrations, trademarks, and contract and agreement reviews. We also offer financial webinars on topics including financial basics, financial statement preparation and analysis, and QuickBooks trainings like today's. Another one of our offerings include one-on-one individualized and tailored support on business foundations, profitability and pricing, financial forecasting, financing options and readiness, financial statements and tools, and loan readiness and lender prep. Finally, our loan application readiness services include both webinars and one-on-one individualized support. The webinars are on topics such as what lenders look for in loan applications, interactive mock loan interviews and sample application analyses, and SBA loan options. We also have a partnership with a lender that provides one-on-one support to those looking for capital. If you are interested in getting started, you can reach out through our website at virginiasbdc.com/program/capital pathways. Or you can reach out to me directly at my email, which I will put in the chat, and I will put the link to our website in our chat too. You can also scan this QR code either now or after you receive the slides. Now over to introductions. As mentioned before, my name is Lena Castanos and I am today's moderator. I have a professional background in economic development, small business support, and access to finance projects domestically and internationally. I am currently both a program lead and a business advisor in the Capital Pathways program. Today's session will consist of a 2-hour presentation. Again, feel free to ask any questions throughout the presentation via the chat function. We will be responding to them as we go. We will stop every here and there for questions after each section, and the questions that we cannot respond to in this webinar, we are happy to address through our no-cost one-on-one services or connect you to resources that can help. We will be sharing a recording and slides of this webinar afterwards. Now I will give it over to Jamie to introduce herself, tell us a bit about her background, and start her presentation.
Thank you, Lena, and welcome everyone. I am excited to be here with you today to go over QuickBooks Online. And so my background is way back in the day, I was a teacher. And so now I run a bookkeeping business called Balanced Bookkeeping. But I'm able to have a little bit of teaching time through teaching these webinars. And so my goal and hope for today is to make QuickBooks Online a little bit more approachable to you and make sure that you're ready to get set up with QuickBooks, set yourself up for success. So I just put into the chat box, and I see new people keep coming in, so I'm going to put it in one more time. That link is to the QuickBooks test drive. The way that we're going to be leading this or running this presentation today is I'm going to teach you an aspect of QuickBooks, and then you're going to have time to explore. And so what I recommend is that you split your screen, have half of your screen be the Zoom screen so you can see what I'm doing, but have the other half be the test drive. This is your opportunity to fool around, explore, experiment with QuickBooks without any of the repercussions of messing up your data. All right. So go ahead and, like I said, get yourself set up. Again, this is meant to be very interactive. So as I introduce you to different areas of QuickBooks, please, please, please put in the chat box questions that you're having related to it. And during those exploratory minutes and periods, that'll be your chance for me to answer your questions. Okay, so Lena, would you Oh, it looks like I can do it myself now. All right, so hopefully your screen looks like my screen. Hold on one second. Just want to be sure I can see everything. All right, and so this is Craig's landscaping design company. And so we get to be in his account today and kind of get a glimpse of what an active QuickBooks account will look like. Okay, so irregardless if you're in your own QuickBooks and you're in the test drive, this is what you should see first. And so we call this our dashboard. And what QuickBooks has done is they have kind of added everything that you might possibly need to do on this dashboard. So it's kind of like your one-stop shop, right? You can see all of these different tasks, and it keeps going and going, right? You have reports at a glance that you could look at. We can see our invoicing funnel, right? This is the amount of invoices that haven't been paid. These are invoices that have been paid but not deposited into our account yet. And then our deposited, these are our closed invoices. You can see our bank accounts, right? What the bank balances are, credit cards. And then as we keep going, more analyses for you, right? We can see what our P&L at a glance is looking like, where we're spending money, cash flow, right? So many different widgets in here to help you to have the at a glance. Now, some people love having all of this in one spot, but if you are like, this is too much, right? Something I want to preface is QuickBooks' goal is to make this a software for all businesses, right? My goal for you is to customize your QuickBooks so that it's the ideal software for your business, all right? What QuickBooks gives you when you initially Enroll is not going to be that customized QuickBooks. You're going to have to put a little work into it to make it run efficiently, effectively for you. So all that being said, right, you can customize your dashboard, get rid of things that you don't like. You can even customize it, like make sure that everything fits on one page, right? You can add or remove widgets. So if you want to keep your AP top of mind, you can make sure that is there, accounts receivable. Maybe you want to keep track of your mileage right on this dashboard. Okay, you can make this look however you want it to look, right? So it's popping everything else up here. Lots and lots of widgets, lots of little analyses for you. The next place I want to show you is over here in the upper right-hand corner. This gear icon holds much of the back end information for your business, right? You can see your subscription and billing if you need to upgrade or downgrade. We have our budget in this area for tools. But the most important, one more important place, the manage users. This is where you can add your team members, right? If you want more than one person to have access to your QuickBooks account. And then also your accounting firm. So if you have a bookkeeper, a tax preparer, maybe a CPA, and you want them to have access, you can allow them to have access without using up all of your usage, right? Because the lower QuickBooks accounts, like Simple Start is the lowest QuickBooks option, which is honestly where I recommend people start, unless you're already a really large business and you have a lot of moving parts. Okay, start with Simple Start. It's super simple to upgrade. Same with downgrade. So if you're on advanced right now and you're not using all of those advanced features, know that you can absolutely downgrade. Okay. But the most important part I want you all to put on your to-do list right now is to go through your accounts and settings. Okay. Go through all of this information, make sure it's accurate, right? This is all of this information is going to be verified to make when you start receiving payments, sending payments, all of that good stuff. You can see your usage amounts. This is for the sales. This is for all of your invoicing. So making sure, we're going to talk about invoicing in a little bit, but making sure that you have this customized how you'd like it. Are you going to offer discounts? Are you going to accept tips, right? All of this is within this gear accounts and settings tab. Progress invoicing. You can change the way your messages come, how the wording in your messages. There's so much in here that when you first start with QuickBooks, you want to customize. Okay. Same with advanced. There's a lot in here that you want to just make sure reflects your business. Okay. One last spot, and then you'll be able to explore. Okay. So if I'm back at my dashboard, then I want to show you over on this left-hand toolbar. So QuickBooks has just, how does that say my name there? QuickBooks has just updated their interface. And so some think that it's easier to navigate. Others think it's more difficult, but really you're spending all of your time in this accounting tab. Okay. This is where your bank transactions are when we're going to reconcile our chart of accounts. You'll see that this is where we're hanging out today. But further, all of your apps. So this is, you have your sales if you're sending invoices through QuickBooks or estimates, your expenses if we're going to be doing bill pay through our QuickBooks. Payroll would be in here if you have payroll, sales tax. Basically, this is the spot. Okay, and then your reporting. The plus button at the top, plus create, this is where you're adding any new information to your QuickBooks account. So you can see adding an invoice, maybe adding a bill. We're going to talk about journal entries, I'm sure. Basically anything that the bank feed isn't automatically bringing in, this is where we would be adding it, the plus create. So I just gave you a ton to explore already, right? So what I want you to do, explore the dashboard, click into these places, right? All of these are clickable so that you can see this information in more detail. See where it takes you. See if you can customize your dashboard. What is important for you, right? Check out your gear. Anything that's really crucial for your business to have set up right away. And then finally, check out these. You could also do bookmarks, right? So if you're only doing certain things in QuickBooks, we can have a bookmark so that we can have basically like a shortcut to get to those places. All right, go ahead and explore for 3 minutes. And if you have a question, please put it into the chat box now. And don't be shy. Ask all your questions, please. I'll also say, since you all are being quiet right now, QuickBooks is really trying to integrate AI for analyses these days. I would say, like in the last 3 months, they've really moved forward a lot, and so you'll see that this symbol is basically saying these are trends that they're noticing, right? So you can see the amount of payments that were made from invoices. These all need reminders, right? Because they're all overdue. So they're really trying to be kind of like that thought partner for you. All that being said, remember this is just a technology, so don't don't believe it at surface level, right? Make sure that you have a trusted um, employee, or if it's yourself, that's really fact checking these trends always. All right, I think we're going to keep rolling. Any last call for any questions about the dashboard? All right. The first place we're going to go now, we're going to go to I guess we can go to accounting or my apps. Like you can see, there's multiple ways to get to the same place, right? Accounting's here, accounting's here, accounting's here. I can click on all of those to kind of get to the same place. And we're going to go to the chart of accounts. All right. So your chart of accounts is pretty much like the skeleton of your business finances. Okay, if we think about a skeleton, right, you have all of these different types of bones that build up the foundation of your body. This is the foundation of your business finances. And so, just like bones in your body, if you have bones in the wrong place, you're going to be in trouble, right? So, we want to make sure that your chart of accounts is set up appropriately. Okay, and accurately and effectively. What QuickBooks does is QuickBooks creates a template for you most times based on the answers that you give to QuickBooks when you sign up. So they're asking you what industry you're in, what business formation are you in, do you do payroll, do you time track, right? And based on your answers, they're using the data to create a template. That being said, QuickBooks often creates very, very long templates with lots of different accounts, right? They basically give you anything that you could possibly need for a business expense or an income expense. And so we want to customize this chart of accounts so that if I or an investor or your CPA or a colleague read through this chart of accounts, we could get the gist of how you're using money in your business, right? How you're bringing money in, how you're spending it, where it's going to how much is going to the owners, what your liabilities look like, right? So if we think about the types of accounts, we have assets. Assets are any type of cash or product that you could sell to get cash, right? So obviously our bank accounts, but that's also inventory. That could be a truck or a building that the business owns. It could be machinery, right? Those are all assets. So you can see these are Craig's assets. He has his truck here. Um, then we go to liabilities. Liabilities is money that you owe to others, right? So we have AP, these are all his bills. We have credit cards, are liabilities. These are sales tax payable, right? So sales tax, we collect it on behalf of our customers, and then we have to remit it to the state. Loans are liabilities, right? Then we move to equity. Equity is the money that you as the owner have contributed or taken out of the business. Income, that's pretty self-explanatory, right? Income is money, revenue that the business has generated. Now, I do want to show you, right, or to emphasize, if we look at Craig's, he has a ton of income accounts. Like, to me, as a bookkeeper, this is a little dramatic, right? This is a lot. However, what's important is this information going to result in you making decisions in your business, right? And so for Craig, he's brand new. He just started this year. He might really want to see, okay, where am I making money, right? Am I making money in the designs? Am I making money in the actual services? Am I making money in pest control, right? What should I continue doing in my business? And so what I like to see for business owners is being intentional about your income accounts. Yes, it's fine to just have a sales account for tax purposes, right? That's really the only number we need. However, if we broke this up into more granular income accounts, would you be able to make better decisions or cash flow projections better? So, for example, for me, I own a bookkeeping firm. We keep track of one-time projects that we bill. We keep track of recurring payments, so my ongoing clients that I work with, and then I also keep track of the consulting, advising side. And so by doing that, I'm able to say, okay, you know what? This isn't the bang for our buck. We really need to just keep our customers happy because the recurring money is the most profitable, right? And so really being able to make those adjustments can really be a differentiator in your business health. Next comes COGS, or cost of goods sold, right? These are we would lump them under expenses, but this is the expenses that you need to incur in order to produce your product or project. So things that you couldn't produce your project or good without them. So when we think about restaurants, that's our food costs, that's our cost of labor, things like that. And then finally, your expenses. These are your operating expenses, the cost of doing business. We like to say, how do you keep the lights on in your business? Okay. Now, as you can see, his is pretty long. What are we at? 90. That's not awful. I would say that if you're a newer business, we want to be about 50 if you're a pretty simple business. As you grow in your business, logically it gets more complicated, right? And you might be up into the 90s, hundreds. Sometimes I see like 200, 400 though. That's way too many, right? We don't want to have itemized accountant names. So like we don't want to have a QuickBooks fees, Canva fees, what else? Like any software fees. We want to lump those under software expenses, right? And so all this being said, right, you're able to make adjustments as you please. So say I'm never going to travel in Craig's business, you can make an active and it will go away from your chart of accounts. You can always reactivate them by clicking include inactive, and you can see that's here. I can make it active again, and it's back. Okay, I always recommend that you set up your chart of accounts as your business is today. Okay, don't set up your chart of accounts for where you hope to be in 5 years. If you hope to buy a building someday, right? Don't have that on your chart of accounts right now. Let's wait until that actually happens, because it's very easy to add, subtract, adjust as you need, as you see fit. Say, for example, that I want to have this be more specific, that I want to have travel meals, travel lodging, travel airfare, right? You can also adjust the naming. So it's a simple, wow, as adjusting like that, okay? One other thing you can do, as you see here, is you can have sub-accounts for certain accounts, right? So for utilities, I want to see my total utilities cost, right? So I can add these sub-accounts, and when my gas bill comes, put it to gas. When my telephone bill comes, put it to telephone. And then on my profit and loss, I'll be able to see that full utilities amount. All right, people like I like to do the parent and the sub accounts. I think it keeps it really nice and neat and tidy, and again helps you to make insights related to your business. Okay, what I'd like for you to do right now is to go and play with this chart of accounts. See if you can, oh, sorry, this is how we add new accounts, right? Say you have everything you need here and you still need a new account. You'd click new account. Let's say we have a business coach. Okay. You choose the account type. That's an expense. The detail type, I'm going to say, let's see, legal and professional fees. I'm going to make it a sub account because I already know, you can see, so here's the whole chart of accounts in here. I already know that I have this legal and professional fees, right? So I'm going to add it here and click save. And now if I go back, we can see that it's all neat and tidy, right? All my legal and professional services. I have my accountant, my bookkeeper, my business coach, my lawyer, and I'll be able to see how much I'm spending on that. My last piece of advice is if you are brand new and my goal is always that as the nerdy bookkeeper that you're going to be analyzing your numbers on a monthly basis. But if that is just not your reality right now, use the 1040 Schedule C form. Okay, that's the form that if you're an LLC, sole proprietor, you're going to be filling out come tax time. Use that as a mirror for what your QuickBooks should look like so that when it does come time to do taxes, you can pull those numbers really easily. Okay, that's the bare bones what you need in here. Again, my goal is that you're making this more to suit the needs of looking at your business and making informed decisions. So go ahead and take 3 minutes again. See if you can make some adjustments, change some names of these accounts, inactivate some accounts, make a new account. Okay, go ahead and explore. Maybe start brainstorming what's important for your business, accounts that you're going to need based on what Craig has. All right, and please, please, please put questions into the chat box. You guys are quiet. You can put questions in the chat box, right? Everyone's good?
There's a question in the Q&A.
Oh, okay. I've been looking at the chat.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Please use a chat instead of the Q&A so we can keep better track.
I'll keep track of both too.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, no worries.
Uh, that's my bad. Rebecca asked, how do we batch delete some accounts? Yes, so you can do that. I'm glad. No, don't be sorry, Rebecca. You can batch delete by, like, say I am not having an accountant or a business coach after all, right? I'm going to DIY it. If you scroll back to the top, you can do batch actions, make it active. And this will make those all go away. All accounts were deactivated. So yeah, if you are like, you want to totally rehaul this, you can see these are deleted now. And then I'm going to come back up here and hide inactive so that I don't see that on my chart of accounts anymore. Yeah, use the batch, especially this first time. That's a great question. Also, I would say this is a great task to pull in others to help you with. So maybe your bookkeeper, this would be a great activity to do with as a one-on-one with a business advisor through Capital Pathways. Maybe you have a colleague or a business that is similar to you that you could sit down and print this off and consult with them about what's important, what's not. Yeah, giving you 3 minutes right now is not enough time, right? You're gonna need probably like a half hour to at least to really doctor this in a meaningful way. One other thing for cost of goods sold. So if you're providing a product, right, cost of a goods sold, just the standalone probably isn't sufficient for you, right? We want to make sure that our gross profit margin is always right below that 50% bare minimum. So splitting this up and doing some sub accounts for cost of goods sold, having supplies and materials as one, having packaging, having shipping, having cost of labor, right? Those are really helpful to be able to see those margins. Okay, so we want to make sure that that's the case. Maria says, my husband has a business and I have one. How can we do bookkeeping for both companies under one account? Yes, I feel like I get that question every session. Really, you shouldn't, right? If they have separate EINs, you want to keep them completely separate. However, there are workarounds, okay? I'm not advising this, but you could upgrade and do something called classes and locations and have them so that all of your expenses are in different columns of a profit and loss to see. So that's an option. I've also seen other people who have very similar businesses, like say Maria, this is Maria's expenses, and then having Maria building repairs, Maria computer repairs, and same with income, right? Maria, whatever your income accounts are. But it's pretty messy. So long story short, you shouldn't. But there are workarounds if you're being very price conscious. All right. Sorry, I know that's not the answer you wanted. All right, we're going to keep rolling. We're going to now, again, like I said, accounting is the space that most of your basic monthly tasks are in. And so now we're going to go to bank transactions. Okay, and this is where you're going to save the most time on a monthly basis. And so what QuickBooks does, right, is it talks to your bank, right? So you will connect an account, you'll choose your bank, you'll put in your login information, and then you'll sync it to QuickBooks to your bank. It's going to ask you what time, like when the start date to pull your data. I always recommend to pick the start of your fiscal year. Okay, so if your plan is to get all of 2025 in QuickBooks for your 2025 tax return, you would choose January 1st, 2025, right? And it will pull all of your data. You'll connect all of your accounts, right? So your checking, your savings, all of your credit cards. And what will happen, you can see down here, is it has pulled all of your CSV transactions into QuickBooks. So it's pulling in your date, your description, and then your job is to identify the payee in the category. So if I'm in here, right? So this is the same, this bank detail is the same that if I was in my bank account. So this is kind of to help you, right? So my vendor is A1 Rental. I'll add this as a vendor. Okay, you can add all of this information if you'd like to. You don't have to. I typically don't. So A1 Rental, and then my account would be equipment rental, right? You can add a memo if you'd like one. You can add a customer that it's associated with if you're in, especially if you're in construction and you want to be keeping track of all of your expenses related to certain projects. You can add an attachment. We're going to talk about create a rule in a little bit, but for the sake of right now, I'm going to add. And I want to show you, so here is A1 rental again, right? A1 backhoe rental this time. One of the priorities in accounting is that we make sure that each transaction has a specific home, right? Like when we're adding the accounts. We don't want there to be several different accounts for the same vendor or customer, typically, right? Sometimes there will be, but we want to stay consistent as often as possible. So, for example, your QuickBooks fee that you'll eventually have, right? We don't want that to sometimes go under dues and subscriptions and sometimes go under software. They both work, they're both fine, but we want to pick one and stick to it. And so QuickBooks has helped us to stick to that process by creating this button here, categorization history. So if I click here, I can see this vendor, A1 Rental, where I've categorized it to in the past, right? So I know that I just did the 10/11/2025 for the 800. So I know, okay, Jamie, that's where we put it. And I'll put it there. Okay. So consistency is important. If you, let's see. So let's say that this is squeaky clean car wash, right? So I'm going to add squeaky clean car wash. And I don't have repair and maintenance for cars. So vehicle repairs, right? I don't have that as an option. This would add this to my chart of accounts. So you can also, as you get going, you might find that some of these transactions, you don't have a home for them yet, right? So you could go back to your chart of accounts and add it over there, but know that you could also add it directly from the bank feed. So vehicle repairs, that's an expense. Oops, why is my phone? Sorry, I'm on do not disturb. Oh, it's all the way at the top, auto, right? And so I can add that directly here. If you're feeling overwhelmed with adding accounts, I'd recommend going to your chart of accounts and finding where you want it before you add it, right? So that's that, and add. Okay, go ahead and go through this bank feed, see if you can start categorizing these transactions, okay? You always want to have a vendor name, right? Or customer name, and then an account name. If you want to add your customer, that's fine. If you want to add a memo, that's fine. If you want to add your receipt directly to it, that's great, right? And then add. You'll see a lot of what Craig has done. Craig is adding his expenses directly into QuickBooks. This is nice if you have a lot of checks that you're cutting and they haven't cleared your bank yet, right? Adding them that way. But do know that a lot of these transactions now, they give you everything you would need just coming through the bank feed. So it can save you a lot of time. All right, go ahead and explore with the bank feeds. See if you can get some of these to line up, right? That's not cleared. That's a problem. Why is that not working? And ask your questions, okay? See what questions you have. Give me your questions. This is where the bulk of your monthly work will be, is in categorizing these transactions. When you categorize them, they're going into your reporting, is where these are all going now. Kashandra says, as a bookkeeper, would you suggest that business owners add attachments supporting documentation to expenses in QuickBooks? So what I would say is, right, we absolutely need to have source documents saved somewhere, right? In terms of the chance of getting audited by the IRS, we want to make sure that we have those itemized receipts. So if QuickBooks is going to be your one-stop shop, QuickBooks has several ways to import your receipts to QuickBooks. So we can upload them through desktop, right? Or Google Drive. You can also download the QuickBooks app and take photos of your receipts, and they would automatically get uploaded here. Okay. It is really nice to have everything attached in QuickBooks. My only concern with using it in QuickBooks is that you're giving an awful lot of control to QuickBooks in terms of holding all of your source documents. And so to me, I honestly, transparently, I have a Google Drive folder where I keep 2025. And within that 2025 receipts folder, I have each month and I drag and drop it there. You can also do this. You can also export all of your receipts. So maybe my feelings are unfounded, right? Maybe not necessary. But yes, right. It's important. A lot of people have been asking me lately, doesn't the credit card statement, isn't that sufficient? Like you can see what I've spent money on the credit card. The answer is no. Okay. Unfortunately, you could be spending all of those expenses on something personal. They really want to be able to see that everything was business related. And the only way to do that is with a receipt. So I know it's the greatest nuisance for most business owners. I get it. I get it. I get it. I don't like it either. But you want to make sure that you have the record of them somewhere. Okay. But yes, Cassandra, it's definitely great if we can have them uploading them so that you can be absolutely sure where each of these transactions is going, right? To be able to not just have to kind of remember. Rebecca says, when a payment is matched to the wrong payment, how do we align it to the right invoice? Yes, right? So if we have this deposit or this payment, right? A couple of things. So if this is the wrong one, right? Maybe you invoice for the same amount to several different people, you'll be able to click find other matches and you can see the other invoices that have been sent out, and then also the received payments that have come in. So that would be the way to find it. If you say we match this and we're like, oh crud, that's the wrong one, I think the simplest way is to go to categorize, find it, undo it, then come back and find the right home. To me, that's the simplest way. Great question. I have that issue, Rebecca, sometimes with my recurring and again, I'm going to emphasize this. QuickBooks is just a software, right? It thinks it has a brain, but it doesn't, and it thinks it is too smart for its own britches. So make sure that you're always fact checking, and that is going to bring me to the next part that I wanted to talk about. So I'm going to actually go back to categorized again, and I'm going to undo this one. So we'll stick with A1 rental. So for Craig, A1 rental is always an equipment rental, right? He never gets anything from A1 rental except for equipment to borrow. And so, and it's a vendor that we use a ton. And so instead of having to click into here, click A1, click equipment rental, I can also create a rule that says that every time A1 rental comes through my bank feed, I want them to categorize it as equipment rental and vendor. So do you see this button down here? I'll create a rule. I'm going to call the rule A1 rental. And then you need to just kind of go through these prompts, right? So when money leaves my checking account, I'm going to say all of them, right? Savings, MasterCard, doesn't matter. And it includes the description of a rental. I want it to categorize it as an expense. The category is equipment rental. The payee is A1 rental, right? That's what we just said. Now, down here, this is the bane of my existence. This is saying that when you have this transaction and it comes through the bank feed, that you're allowing QuickBooks to remove it from this bank feed and put it directly into the reports, right? So it sounds wonderful, right? Yeah, you don't have to have any eyes on it. This is great. It's going to do all your work for you. You'll have a clear bank feed. However, I highly, highly, highly recommend turning this off so that you can have eyes on it just for one moment, right? You just need 1 second to verify that it's correct. If you are adamant to have this on, turn it off for the first month, make sure that it works correctly, and then you can come back and turn it on. So you can see here, this is what it will look like. A1 rental is equipment rental. They do have the date. They do have the vendor customer in there too. All right, and then all you need to do is click add. Because this rectangle says rule, right? This means that you've already verified, yes, this is where I want it to go. And you have to look at it for a moment, right? If you look at my one-time revenue, right, that I make every year, largely it's because people create these rules incorrectly and then they don't look at it for a year or two and then they have a huge mess on their hands, right? So just have it so that you have eyes on it for one moment and then you can click add and move on. Okay, it'll still save you a lot of time. These are great for subscriptions, right? QuickBooks, Squarespace, Canva, all your utilities, your rent, even your contract labor that you're paying out, right? If you're using Zelle and it has the name, you could code it to that. Really, you can have what I try to do with my bookkeeping clients is have that almost everything has a rule so that I can just click add, match, 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 and you're done, right? So go ahead and see if you can create a couple of rules. The A1 rental one, that's an easy one. See if you can create a rule for A1 rental. Can you create a rule for Books by Bessie? All right, go ahead and explore. And again, ask those questions. Rebecca says, my view looks different than yours. Is it possible I'm in a different selected view? Rebecca, are you in your own QuickBooks account? Okay. At the top, it should say switch to classic view. Now, I will say you don't need to click to classic view if you like the one that you're in, right? That's like the newest version. But this is the most recent option for the test drive. It should be like right at the top. Or do you possibly have solopreneur? Do you have like even lower than the first QuickBooks Online? Do you know what your subscription is? If you click over here, the gear, subscriptions, and billing. Any other questions? You guys are so quiet. Please ask questions. Huh. Rebecca, you should have a button. So if you have Plus, you definitely should look similar. I'm guessing that you she's seeing some super view. There should be a button somewhere on the top half of your bank feed that says like switch to classic or switch to previous version, something like that. Cassandra asks, is it possible to review and update rules? Absolutely. Yes. Great question. So if you come over here to rules, you'll be able to see all of the rules that you have going on, right? So here's my A1 rental. If I mess something up, right, I can click edit and adjust, right? So if you're like, you know what, Jamie, I'm turning this on, see you later, you can click save, and there you go. Okay, maybe you only want it to come out of some account. You can also bulk batch action, right? Turn off auto add for everything. Like if you're like, oops, I've had auto add on for all of these, turn it off. You can turn everything off. You can delete everything. Okay, great question. You're in my wavelength, Cassandra. I like your questions. Keep it up. Remember, this is meant to be interactive, everybody. Please, please, please ask me all the questions. All right, we're gonna keep going unless these questions pop up. Let's do it. You guys might have a little extra time on your hands if we don't have any more questions. All right, the next spot we're gonna go is to the reporting. Okay, so this one we have to leave the accounting area and we're gonna go over here now. So again, QuickBooks is trying to be the software for every business. And with that, look at all of these reports, right? Like a little ridiculous. And so I want you to be able to focus on the reports that truly move your business ball forward, right? And so the most important report, I believe, for small business financing is your profit and loss report. So your profit and loss is, we'll talk about that in one moment, is showing in the simplest form your short-term business health, right? It's showing you the income that you've generated minus your expenses, which results in your net income or your profit, right? Same word. And so the way that this is set up is based on your chart of accounts, okay? So that's why it's so important that you are setting up your chart of accounts in a way that makes sense to you, okay? You can add account numbers at the top, at the beginning of these so that they're in the right order for you, however you want to see them. Otherwise, it's alphabetical order, right? D all the way to S. If you look at yours and you don't like how it looks, right? That's when I want you to go back to your chart of accounts and make adjustments, okay? Um, this is uberly important because your net income is going to lead you to know how much you should be putting aside for estimated taxes every month. Okay. So if Craig, right, at this year to date, he's in the negative, so he doesn't need to really worry about estimated taxes at this point. But if you are in the positive, let's say this is $377, not negative, you want to put ballpark, right, about 30% of your profit into a savings account, better yet, a high yield savings account for those estimated tax payments. Okay. 30% is very much the ballpark, right? It's the most popular, most common amount. However, that 30%, it varies pretty dramatically based on your individual tax situation, right? So maybe you have a spouse who's a high earner and you need to reserve more. Maybe you are in the lower income bracket, then you could look at closer to 20, right? So there are a lot of variables. And once you start filing your taxes as a business owner, you'll know more of an exact amount, right? We never want to give the government more than they need. We don't want to get a huge refund, but we don't want to give them less either. And so it's kind of a trial and error to make sure to figure out what that exact percentage is. Okay, but 30% ballpark should cover you most times. Okay. Some fun things to do. As fun as we can get with profit and loss. But so I'm going to switch to classic view. And I wanted to show you this. So instead of just doing display columns by, I like to do display columns by month. Okay. And then you can see what your trends are month over month, right? This is a great tool to use when you're cash flow forecasting, right? If you want to see, okay, what do I need to have saved up for next year? This is going to show you, oh, well, this is what happened in January 2025. I should expect something similar for January 2026. This will also show you trends of what you should and shouldn't be prioritizing in your business, or maybe things that you're cutting. So when I look at this, the clear indicator that for me is that maybe we should get rid of this pest control services offering, right? He offered it. He looks like he had one service each month, June, August, and October, but then gave $100 refund. Like, to me, this doesn't seem worthwhile for him. Let's prioritize some of this design income and maybe some actual hard labor revenue streams, right? So who just asked that? Rebecca, how did you click on that? Yes, so display columns by. Maybe you're going to look at it more granularly and want to do it by weeks, right? And then run your report. The opposite, maybe quarters. How are we doing quarter over quarter? Okay. Again, my hope for you is that you start using this data to help build your business, right? This isn't necessarily needed for your tax returns to run these types of reports, but I think they can be really informative. Okay. Go ahead and actually let me show you the balance sheet, and then I'm going to give you some time to fool around with these reports. So if the profit and loss is your short-term health, right? And again, let me get back in here. You can even just do it. Like, if we look at these options, I could even just do last month to see what last month looked like. Still not great. What's going on, Craig? Right? we gotta get you in the green. But the balance sheet is your long-term health. Okay, this is kind of like the time capsule of your business. Basically, all of the financials year over year over year over year get put into this balance sheet in some way. Okay, so first we have our assets, right? The money that we have, or accounts receivable. I think I failed to mention that. That's an asset, right? This is money that you've invoiced that should be coming into your business soon. All of his assets. Oh, all the way down here, 13,000, or no, even higher, 21,000. Great. Your liabilities, your bills, credit cards, loans, right? Not great, Craig, right? We have more liabilities than assets. That's not great. And then our equity, the money that has come in or come out of the business, it really in its entirety, right? Because retained earnings, this number will be what your ending balance was for the previous years, and we compound it. We add. But he's a brand new business, so he has no retained earnings yet. Okay. While this is helpful to look at, I think that the profit and loss is going to help you to make more informed decisions on a day-to-day basis. But you definitely want to make sure, like, I'm a little worried about him with more debt than assets, right? We want to make sure that we can pay down this debt pretty quickly. Something I meant to share. So this is another thing. See, we can see that little star. This is what QuickBooks is working on, right? You can see beta, where they're trying to help analyze your data for you and with you. So definitely check it out. Sometimes it's worthwhile. Sometimes I look at it, I'm like, that's not helpful at all. But it might be able to give you a couple great little nuggets. If you're feeling like, Jamie, this is too basic for me, I need more meaty stuff, right? You might want to look at the profit and loss as total percentage of income. You might want to look at your profit and loss comparison, which will be year over year, to see how you're doing. There are so many really great reports in here that can help you to get a better grasp on your business finances. All right, so at a bare bones, check out your balance sheet and profit and loss. And if you're ready to get into more of the weeds with reporting, check out some other ones and see if anything would be really helpful. If you click on the star, it adds it to your favorites at the top so that you can kind of just be up here when you come in and not have to scroll and find the reports that you like. Andrea says, will we be able to have access to the test drive for a short time after the class? And will the recording be available? Good news, Andrea, you get that test drive as long as you'd like. It is a public option, so you can keep it forever. Lucky us, right? One thing that QuickBooks has given us for free. And yes, the recording will be available. Typically, they try to send it out by the end of the week, each week. So that's what I would plan for. Ask me questions about reporting. Do you have any pain points? Tanya, would you like to unmute and ask your question? I see your hand up. Oh, maybe you can't. Lena, do you know if we allow them to speak? You might have to put your question in the chat box.
Yeah, I could allow someone to speak, but it is best to put it in the chat.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Yeah, put your questions in the chat box. Another thing you can do is once you've set up a report the way you like it, right? Maybe I like this year to date by months, cash basis, run report, right? I can save this customization by month, year to date. And I can save it so that if I go to my custom reports, I can check it out every month, right? So that's an option that you have too, is to customize it. You can do, like, if you're a larger business and you want to be sending this out to your shareholders or your C-suite, you can create a management report so that you can send that all out so everyone has everything in one place. There's a lot of different reporting that you could possibly get into. Oh, Tanya didn't even have a question. That's okay. Anything else? If AP is something, I mean, AR is something that is important to you, that you have a lot of outstanding invoices. I love this report. which shows you, right, these 61 and to 90 days over. Like I'm calling Red Rock Diner today, right, to get my money. Same here. I was just working with another client a couple weeks ago, and having to do this manually, it takes a lot of time, right? But how simple was that, just to run that report and be able to clearly see who owes what, right? Red Rock has another current invoice out too. Like, what's going on here? Did they forget about that one? I hope so, right? All right, we're going to keep going. So let's put all of this together. Okay, so I'm going to go My Apps, Accounting again. So remember, your one-time homework today is to get in your chart of accounts and set this up thoroughly, right? Let's make it reflect who you are as a business. Why does that look like that? There we go, right? If I read through this, I want to be able to know who you are, okay? If you're a restaurant, you better look a heck of a lot different than my bookkeeping firm does, right? And one last thing, make sure you customize these names, right? Make them so that you have a clear read of where you're spending things. So like if advertising is not specific enough, like do advertising dash social media, right? Or however you're spending your money in advertising. All right, so once that one-time project is done, here's your monthly workflow. So your first task every month, and here's what I say. If you're a small business, you don't need to be in your QuickBooks every day. Okay. If you're a teeny micro business, you probably need to be in here once a month. Okay. So have the cue to get into your QuickBooks be when your bank statements arrive. So either that's in the mail, if that's an email, whenever you get that notification, that's your cue. Get into your QuickBooks file. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to categorize all of your transactions. Okay, you're going to move these all. And the goal, I think QuickBooks is having an issue today with this new one. But yeah, why is this? Let me refresh. There we go. Do you see this green check mark, even though this is still not there? This is what we want to see. We want to see a check mark, and we want to see, in a perfect world, our bank balance and our QuickBooks balance should be the same, okay? This is telling me that something's up. All right, something's not balanced. But don't worry, we're going to do something called reconcile, which means to make sure that what's in the bank is in the QuickBooks software, that everything is aligned. Because after all, QuickBooks is just a software. It's not a bank. All right, so we categorize everything. We have 3 green check marks. Check, check, check. Then we're going to go to reconcile. Reconcile is just a fancy word for making sure that what's in QuickBooks matches the bank. Okay. What you'll see a beginning balance. So if we just started our QuickBooks account, this is going to be whatever was in the bank as of January 1st, 2025, right? And then you'll pull out that first QuickBooks bank statement, so for January, and you'll put in the ending balance. All right, this is obviously fictitious, so I'm just winging it. And then you'll put the ending date. Okay, 1/31. And we're going to click Start Reconciling. And so obviously there's nothing in here. Let me change this. Let's just pretend. Oops. So you're going to see, right? These are all of the transactions that I've categorized so far. And the goal is to have everything checked and cleared, right? So let me change this. Right? So this is what we want to see. You're not going to do what I just did. That's cheating, right? You want this green check mark and this finish now. This means that everything that's in QuickBooks it matches the bank, okay? If it doesn't, right, let's say it looks like this, and I have this difference, then I'm going to go through, unfortunately, with my bank statement and go line by line and see what's going on. Oftentimes, there's a duplicate, right? Maybe you added something manually that you also categorize through the bank feed. It could be that your bank failed to sync with your QuickBooks and that you need to add something. Sometimes it's the very last transaction where it's on the bank statement, but it hasn't cleared the QuickBooks, right? And so that's something to keep in mind as well. I would say 99% of the time, you're going to be fine. It'll say finish now, and you pick done, right? That 1%, that's going to have you're going to have to be an investigator and figure out where the disconnect is. You never want to have anything that is white or uncleared like this in the reconciliation tab unless it hasn't cleared, right? So this bill payment, they haven't cashed the check yet, right? That's okay. But we don't want, especially if it's green like this means that it came through the bank feed. You never want to accumulate, you never want to accumulate expenses like this that are unclear. There's probably something up that we need to address. Okay, this is as long as you start it right away, on the right path, you'll be fine. Okay, but this can sometimes turn into a mess if you don't reconcile for months and months and months and months. Okay, so that's what we want that to look like. And then finally, so we categorized the transactions, bank transactions. We reconciled, right? We matched the bank statements. Another thing that I tell people to do, so for your credit cards, right? I'm sure if you look at your bank statement or your credit card statements, they end on random dates, right? Like November 4th or November 17th, not on the first or the last day of the month. Call your credit card provider and ask them to change your statement ending date to the beginning or the end of, like, the last day of the month, the first day of the month, so that you can do all of this in one foul swoop, right? They're fine with that. There's no problem with that at all, and then that streamlines your processes. All right, and then your last step is to go into your reports. Look at your profit and loss. Change your reporting period to last month. And then if you're an accrual basis or cash basis, right, make sure that you change that. QuickBooks defaults to accrual, and most small businesses are cash. So whatever your accounting method is, however you're taxed. And then look down at your net income, and let's pretend that that is not negative, right? I'm going to take 1,000, I'm going to get my phone out right now. 1,991 times 0.3, I'm going to transfer $597 over into my tax savings account for my next quarterly estimated tax payment. Okay, and then I'm done. I might look at this, right? See any trends? How did I do in October? Anything I need to be worried about? I mean, yes, right? I know I have all those loans and I'm not even covering my expenses, right? Like something's up. I guess it's this, right? What is this? Yikes, big insurance payment, right? So using these reports to really help your business flow. Okay, I hope this was helpful. If you are feeling like, Jamie, I've got this. This is cake. I'm ready to move to the next level. Know that we offer QuickBooks 201 too, which dives deeper into more of the more complicated uses within QuickBooks Online. We talk more about invoicing. We talk more about sales tax, payroll, journal entries, a lot of other good stuff, bill pay. But we have plenty of time. So please, 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 please ask some questions. I'm here to help. We have until 1 o'clock, so we have 45 minutes. If you have questions, if you're ready for lunch, you can head out. But yeah, please ask your questions. I would love to help show you guys around some more in QuickBooks. You all win, quietest group yet, hands down. But please chime up, ask your questions. For those of you that are using QuickBooks, what are your pain points? What are some things I can help you streamline? Great, here come the questions, yay. Vivek, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Can you show us how to create an invoice to be billed? Yes. So again, we're going to go way deeper into this in QuickBooks 201, but I absolutely think this is an informative and important part of your business finances. One of my truest and strongest held beliefs is we want to make it as easy as physically possible to have someone pay you, right? And so if you're sending out PDFs and giving ACH information to do manually, that's not making a great customer experience, right? We want to make it so that they can just click and move on, right? That's not only going to make them happier, but that's going to get you paid a lot more quickly. And so QuickBooks offers invoicing, I think a really great, thorough invoicing platform. So we're going to go to My Apps and Sales and Get Paid. And in here, you can see we have a lot of different sub-accounts, but the most immediate one that we would want to go to is invoices, right? So here, this is your invoicing dashboard, okay, which I absolutely love, right? We can see the amount overdue. So these are all my people that I need to be calling, right? You're not yet due. So this is coming down the funnel. Deposited, not deposited, sorry. This is money that people have paid the payment link or they've sent you a check, but it hasn't reached your bank account yet. And then this is the amount that's deposited. Basically, we can close those accounts, right? And so you can see nice and neat. We can change the status. So I can see what's overdue, what's the amounts, right? Who by the customer, what's going on, right? The date for each of these. And then what's really awesome is that you can view, and we're actually, sorry, not that. What the heck? Is it not gonna let me? There we go. View activity. I don't think that's how that looks on the actual one, but you can click view activity and you can see the activity on this invoice. So this is when I created it. Opened means that I created it. It would show when I sent it. So if I sent it today, it would say November 4th. But this is the best part, I think. You can see all of the times that your customer viewed the invoice and when. And so I like to see it. I like to check, like if I'm waiting on an invoice, where is it? I can see, you know what, they looked at it right when I sent it, but they haven't looked at it in 10 days. Like I need to send them a reminder or something. Or maybe they looked at it 20 times and they're not paying. So what's going on? Like, is it a cash flow issue? Do they have a question? Right? You can be more proactive with getting paid. Now, for creating the invoice, you can watch this little video. But what you get to customize however you'd like, right? So you can customize what you want to be included on the invoice. You can add your logo. When you add the customer, right? Because we've already saved all of this customer information, it's saving you a ton of time, right? Adding all of this information to every invoice. You can change your terms, however, what you want your billing terms to be. And then with products and services, right? So I could say that my design income is this amount, right? It's already saved. I'm going to show you this in one moment. And then I'm able to add line by line what the invoice is made of, what's taxed, what's not taxed. If I want to add a discount, I can add a cash discount or a percentage of total discount. I can make sure that I'm choosing the right sales tax to charge them. You can add different payment options, right? So this is QuickBooks is pretty standard, where it's 1% for ACH and 2.99 for everything else. So something to consider, right? That is an added fee. I always say add it into your rates, right? Kind of hide it in whatever your design rate is, whatever your concrete rate is. You can add a note. You can add internal notes, right? If you're sharing your QuickBooks account with others on your staff so that we know what's going on. You can add an attachment so that if you have to give them other information, maybe it's a timesheet, maybe it's cost of goods sold sheet, right? Whatever is necessary. And then I don't know if it's going to let us see it. Yeah, so you can see all of this is customized again, so that it's as simple as sending it. Okay. And now it's right here, right? I just created that. Some great time-saving tools within here. So if I go back to my accounts and settings, and I'm in sales, you can also turn on reminders, right? You can see here that I'm going to make sure to send a reminder, and all this is customized again, right? 3 days before the due date. I can send a nice one, right? Nice and friendly for this first one. And then maybe on the due date, and then after the due date, right? You can change all of these to be however 14 days after the due date. Okay. Again, that's saving you so much time, right? You know that those reminders are going out. And then if after that last reminder you don't get paid, okay, then you're going to have to manually call them. Okay. I have all of my stuff, all of my recurring, especially completely automated. Like I don't spend any time every month doing AR because QuickBooks takes it over for me. So it's such a great tool, and I think it really helps you with cash flow, knowing what's coming down the pipeline, identifying those AR issues, right? So Rebecca says, all right, I'm going to delete yours. Rebecca says, leftover invoices, how to clear them. Well, Rebecca, the real question is, why are they left over? What's going on? Did they not get paid? Did you maybe categorize something as income instead of matching it to the invoice? What's going on there? So that, to me, that seems like we need some investigative skills going on to see what's going on, because really if we are reconciling, so let me tell you the workflow for invoices, right? So we would invoice Amy Bird Sanctuary if they choose that if they choose, sorry, I'm reading Rebecca's comment on the side. If they choose to pay via QuickBooks, QuickBooks does all the hard work for you, right? They're going to receive the payment. They're going to match the deposit that comes into your bank to the invoice, and it closes it out super duper easy. Now, if you are receiving payment outside of QuickBooks, right? Maybe Amy pays via check or cash, right? You're going to receive the payment. So this is something you'll have to manually do because QuickBooks can't see it, right? So I'm saying I recorded the payment. She paid this date. She paid via check. I'm putting the check number there. Okay. This is the invoice. And I'm recording and closing. Okay. Then when it comes through the bank, let's pretend this is it, right? I'm not, so this is $200. I am not categorizing this as Amy's Bird Sanctuary income. Okay, that's not what I'm doing. Instead, I'm matching it. And this isn't going to pop up because that actually will right here. I'm going to match it to, this should say receive payment. Sometimes this test drive doesn't work, but this will say receive payment. Oh, you know why? Because I did it to the other. Hold on. I did it over here. I thought I did. Let me find it. 1 second. Payment. What did I say? Oh, this is why. Because I said I was going to deposit to the wrong place. I'm going to deposit it to my checking account. Record and close. Okay, so now when this comes in, matching it. Where'd it go? Oh, you know my other problem, my date. This wouldn't happen, right? So this is because we're fooling around with things that are not real. I need to make the payment before the deposit, right? That wouldn't happen, right? They wouldn't pay after it's in my checking account. So let's see if this one will work. So I reduce the date, match. No! Oh my gosh, my friends. Know that this is how it would work though. Okay. And then I wonder, one more try. Let's see if I did this. Yes, there we go. There it is. It was because the amount that I was trying to say was received was more than the actual deposit, right? And then I would receive the payment. This would zero out, right? Because that was the deposit, that was the check, and it would be zero, and then I would match. Okay, that is the workflow. If you're categorizing this as income, it's not going to work. You're going to have duplicate income, which is we definitely don't want, right? We don't want you to be paying taxes on more than you need to. All right, let me see. So Thomas says, if you manually enter something, then download transactions, what happens? Is there a double entry? No. So that's when, what happened to all my stuff? Hold on, I'm going to refresh again. Where did all this go? That's when we would have the match, right? So if you added the expense, right, manually for Hicks hardware for $228, then QuickBooks, the AI should be doing the match. Remember when all these said match? I don't know why they don't say match now. But they would all say match. And then and if it didn't for some reason, you would want to match it to that bill, wherever it was, the 228. And then that would bring everything together, right? It would basically be that second form of like audit proofing, that we have the bill, we have the transaction, everything's in a nice little bucket. Rebecca says, what to do if I have two clients with the same name? How do I merge them? AATP1 and AATP. Are they the same? Yes. You mean you have one client with two names? Is that what you meant? Yes. Okay. So if you have two clients with the same name, one client with two names, you're going to go, right? So if it's a vendor, right? And if it's a vendor, someone you pay, we're going to go to vendors. If it's a customer, we're going to go to customers, right? So if I'm in vendors, And let's pretend that A1 Rental and Books by Bessie are the same person, right? Obviously not, but that's okay. I'm going to click into them. I'm going to do edit, and I'm going to change the name, Books by Bessie. This needs to be exact, okay? So capitals, parentheses, everything. Okay, that looks the same to me. If I click save, it says this name is already being used. Would you like to merge the two? I can merge them, and now they're all in here for Books by Bessie. All of those transactions, right? These used to be the equipment rental, right? They still are, but with the payee of Books by Bessie. Same deal for customers. Yep, of course. Good question. I do a lot of cleaning up of that too, Rebecca. So that's great that you're thinking of that. Anonymous attendee says, can I manage multiple business or business locations with one business account? Can you okay. Let me go one at a time. So you should have one QuickBooks account for each EIN that you carry. However, business locations is a different situation. For that, we would want to upgrade to Plus, the Plus subscription, which this is the advanced subscription that's the test drive, so I can absolutely show you. And we're going to turn on classes and locations. We're going to go to accounts and settings, advanced. We're going to turn on classes. Okay. And then once that's on, I actually have to turn on something else too. I'm going to go to all lists, and I'm going to go to classes. And then we're going to add our locations. So I'm based out of Charlottesville. So Charlottesville is one of my locations. And then for Craig, Richmond is the other. Okay. Now, when I go back to my accounting, bank transactions, you will see that we now have a new box for class. So you'll choose each of your transactions where it belongs. Okay, let me do a couple. I guess this doesn't matter. This is so odd to me that all these matches left. I wonder what happened. All right, so now if we go back to reports and we do the profit and loss by class, this is available now since we turned on classes, we can now see your different locations. Again, not much is in here yet, but we can see our Richmond expenses, Charlottesville expenses. And then all of this in a perfect world wouldn't be here, right? This would all be within one of those other columns. Okay. I see. I'm gonna come back, anonymous attendee. Vivek says, does QuickBooks allow for payments to be sent to a 1099 contractor from the platform? Yes, absolutely. So for that, we're gonna go to team, contractors. And so for this, what you'll do, you can add a new contractor, and this is great. I think this is awesome. We want to, so another foundational piece of record keeping and finance in general is we don't want to be holding account information for our clients, right? Our customers, anybody. And so QuickBooks now will email your contractor to have them fill in their ACH information directly on their end, so that you're not responsible for it. So you would put in your name, their email, and you can see, oh, it's not gonna, it does like a pop-up to show you what it would look like. And then you can add this contractor, they'll fill it in. And so obviously this one doesn't have direct deposit, but you'll be able to pay contractors. Pick your person, the amount, the class, and then pay them directly. This would say direct deposit here, but you can see, right? It's not set up. Cool. Great. Rebecca says, how do you merge accounts from the chart of accounts? Yep, same deal. So if I'm in the chart of accounts, same deal as customers and vendors. So if I'm in the chart of accounts, right, say I want to merge, let's go back to here we go. Okay, let's say that I want to merge bookkeeper and lawyer, right? Pretend this is still accounting and I just want to have one, right? So the tricky part is, right, we want to have all capital and lowercase the same. We need the account type to be the same and the detailed type. If any of those aren't exactly the same, it won't let us merge it. But we'll do edit, bookkeeper, forgot the K, right? So it wouldn't have worked. Expense, legal and professional. If I click save, it's going to say you already have an account with that name. Would you like to merge the two? Yes, merge accounts. Save again. And voila, right? It's gone. So now if I were to run this report, I would have everything in here that was both legal and bookkeeping, right? Everything's in here. Rebecca, I might need to hire you as a contract bookkeeper. You might have to call me. All right, you're asking the good questions. Let's see. Anonymous attendee, can you back up your QuickBooks data to protect it from loss corruption? Yes. So if you're here in the gear icon, we're going to export data right here to pull that data away. Yep, great question. Let's see. And can QuickBooks handle payroll processing and management? Yes, absolutely. I use it for my business. It's honestly not my favorite. If you're gonna shop around, I think that Gusto is the best, most user-friendly platform for small businesses. But QuickBooks gets the job done, so know that that's an option too. So if we're here, we're going to go to team employees. I don't think they show us much in here. Yeah. So same deal as contractor. So you'll add an employee, you'll put in their first name, email, hire date. It will send them an onboarding email asking for all of the data that we need. So their withholding information, their direct deposit information. You can even include like a handbook, anything, a contract, a welcome letter, anything you'd like. You can set up payroll any way you would like, weekly, bi-weekly, bi-monthly, monthly. You can include benefits in here. You can do cash advances. You can really do anything that your heart desires. Of course, of course, of course. And they all run about the same amount. You're talking about $50-ish for the base to basically use the software, and then it's between $6 to $10 per employee. So it is a cost. However, QuickBooks or Gusto or ADP, they're all going to do all of your payroll taxes and filings for you, which to me, the peace of mind of having that more than pays for itself, to have that off of your to-do list. I'm glad that all of these questions came out. Thank you, guys. Anything else? All right. Well, I hope that this was helpful. Again, take advantage of the free advising. If you want to get on a call with me or Lena to go over QuickBooks or something else financially, know that that is absolutely something that we want to provide. So don't be shy. Like come and meet with us. Yeah. Anything else, Lena, that you want to add?
Yes, I just wanted to thank Jamie for her wonderful presentation and your responses to so many questions and a helpful advice to our participants. I see a lot of thank yous coming in. And again, Jamie will continue to be doing QuickBooks trainings if you want to join again after you play with your QuickBooks a little bit. If not, one-on-one advising is available through Capital Pathways. I sent over in the beginning of the chat the link to the website. And you will be receiving this webinar, this recording and slides and um, the presentation via email and the information on how to sign up for our services. So we hope to see you. And again, thank you so much, Jamie, for the incredible webinar today.
Thank you, everybody. An anonymous attendee, Lena and I are actually talking right after this call to get the schedule for 2026. So I think that'll be the next 201.
Exactly.
Yes. See you
Thank you,
all.
everyone. Have a good rest of your dates.
Bye.
Days.